What are the decisions you made when you were 2, 3, when you were told you weren't enough, when you were told you shouldn't speak until you're spoken to, when you're told that you didn't get an A so you failed at school, whatever that psyche is. You played a sports game, and I'm not saying everybody just needs to be nurtured here, but played a sports game and you lost the whole year so you failed. It's like, did you enjoy the process of losing? Did you enjoy the process of playing with your friends? It's this psyche that creates this not enough as we're older. So the coaching intervention is designed to say, cool, let's start having breakaways of these neurological connections. The neurology that are firing off day in and day out, let's start to loosen that up. Let's start to chip away at that. Now, what we do in the diploma for the guys is we use a 20 to 30 day writing process to really dig into what are the actual neurological connections firing off. What are the main automatic thoughts that are firing off day in and day out so we can uncover them to really chip away those ones. So that's kind of the difference there, right? Coaching intervention, we're going to do it all in one session. In the diploma, it's more over 90-day periods that we use neuroscience processes to really dig into the psyche. So there's a bit of a difference there. Main point being is, if we don't find and if we don't work with these automatic thoughts and these automatic decisions, what science has shown us, and we're talking neuroscience here, is we can shift. How long does it take to shift an automatic thought? How long does it take to shift an automatic thought? Starts with 6, ends with, there we go, 67 days. So it takes 67 days to shift these automatic thoughts. Behaviors take anywhere up to 254 days to shift the behavior. So if somebody just wants to create that routine, that behavior to go to the gym, it can take up to 254 days. This is the most latest stuff coming through. Up to 254 days to actually create the behavior just to become reflexive with going to the gym. So the quickest point of hitting these core automatic belief systems, that these automatic thoughts that are attached to them, and then starting to shift the psyche of who this person is through these automatic thoughts. So this is now where we're at today, right? So today now is going, cool, how do we then shift this? How do we change this? Because guess what? Unfortunately, when you do an intervention, you'll see coaches out there, here's all the time. See these coaches out there and like, I just put a person through an intervention, I cleared 40, 50, 60 years of emotional baggage that they've had in life. No, you haven't. What you've done is given them an experience in that moment to open up the change inside the neurology. Does this make sense? Give me some yeses. Please give me some yeses if this makes sense. A person has not walked through the door and created complete change. Why? Because change takes time. And this is where you go, a lot of pop psychology, a lot of, when you respectfully, when you look at the NLP world, when you look at the coaching world, a lot of the pseudoscience there is, you have done this process, you are now healed, fixed, completed. That takes time. This is why somebody could go to an event, pump up for 3 days, but yet a week later, they're back to normal. This is how you could go, let's say, to amazing TR event, pump up, Tony Robbins, bring it. And then, a month later, you've gone back home, your partner's kind of niggling at you again, the job is slowly sitting in, so I don't really like this space, I want more out of life. This is how a person refires off all those neurological connections because they're still there. It takes time to rewrite our system so we no longer run old patterns. It takes time to rewrite a new wiring, a new system within us so we no longer fire off our old wiring. So it's not that we replace wiring. It's not like our programming of who we are, our belief systems, automatic thoughts, these are all neurological programming, right? It's not that we replace them. It's just because they no longer fire off, because we think and we feel differently, we're firing off new thoughts and emotions. Does this make sense? Give me something. This process takes time. It takes chemical reactions. It takes effort to be able to create this. So that what we're looking at now is how do we integrate. So the intervention is only one component. It's not the whole system. I'm a big fan of when we look at things like diet, when we look at mental health, when we look at most change in the world, and most things that we do in life, even a coaching business. I've had a chat with a couple of people about this, the team have had a chat with a couple of people about this. A coaching business is an ecosystem. A coaching business is not, I am a coach, I now have clients. You know the funny truth? Just drop truth in the comments, drop truth. Here's the hardest truth that people have to learn when they start life coaching. Once you learn how to be a good life coach, as in you're confident in life coaching, you spend most of your time in sales and marketing. Most people think once I'm a coach, I'm going to coach people 90% of my life, and then people are just going to come through. But the truth is, you spend about 60, 70, 80% of your time in sales and marketing. I will say this is one thing I absolutely love about the diploma is we teach you how to bring all of your coaching into the sales and marketing. So you can coach people for free, you can give them interventions for free, share your content, all of that online. So you care, you give, you give, you give. That way we can kind of chip into as much of that 70% as possible. So it's like 50, 60, 80% of that is actually giving, using what we love. Does this make sense? Give me some yes if this makes sense. So we go through this journey, right, of integration. So as a person integrates into who they want to be, right? Oh, mind you, also, got a quick plug. If you did want to have a chat with the team about the diploma, please pop diploma in the comments. I know we've had quite a fair few chats already, but please pop diploma in the comments. Always have to have a chat and we can run through how it works. Now, when we look at this integration, right, integration takes time. So we're talking like 67-day cycles in order to be able to shift a really big part of our psyche. Part of who we are, big part of who our clients are, so they can map in. So we kind of go through this process where it's intervention, and once a person goes through an intervention, they then go through a process of being able to integrate into those learnings. Remember, if you've seen the videos, right, as a person goes through the intervention and they're starting to get their learnings and new understandings, we're starting to open up new neurological pathways. An example of me in the past is, when something happens, you make a thinking, a feeling, you make a way of living based off that perception, the Gestalt. Remember the Gestalts? When we have that, they impact us day in and day out every day, because as soon as we experiencing something similar that fires off the same thoughts or the same emotions, in that moment, we're running the pattern. So, intervention breaks that pattern, starts to open it up. Where the actual change happens is then over time, over the next 30, 60, 90 days. So then you're going, cool, so what does this process look like? How does this work? We'll dig into some science, we'll dig into how this works, how this operates. And at the end of this session, I'll then put you through a quick process. We'll go through a cool process where you can start to open up like the experience of visualizing the future to remember now who you want to be. Like visualize your future so you can remember now who you want to be in the future. This is how we start to create that new way of living, new way of feeling. What are we saying? Where are we at? Just lost myself. What are we saying? Process, time, intervention, cuts it. Future is now about time and going through the process. So let's dig into the science. So how this works, right, is as we're going through life, a person's now had the intervention. A person's now been through the process of either uncovering these automatic thoughts, and they know exactly which ones they want to work with. Now it's going, cool, what is this change process? What is this integration process so we can step into who we want to be? Firstly, I want to say, one of the big things we've got here, sleep and time. Sleep and time. If we can set up a system for our clients where every day they focus on who they want to be, and then we give them a designated, the right amount of time in order to be able to integrate that, you're going to actually open up really big change. You'll get a really big spike in the intervention, but where the actual change will happen over that next 30 days, 90 days, that process will be then very profound with where they can catapult into their future. Now, here's kind of a process that was happening, that goes on. So number one, sleep. Number two, taking the time to remember your future. Why is this important? So there was a study that was done with pianists, right? Pianists playing piano. And what they did, they picked out two groups. One group played the piano for 2 hours a day for a couple of weeks. So one group, 2 hours a day for a couple of weeks. The other group just sat there for 2 hours. Just think of this, right? They sat there for 2 hours, imagining, experiencing in their mind, playing the piano for 2 hours. Bit extreme, right? You give it a hit if you think that's a bit extreme. Man, they're sitting there for 2 hours being like, in your mind, that's some effort. They get props just for doing that. So, here we go. Two different groups. One group playing the piano for 2 hours a day, the other group just imagining. Now, what they found at the end of this cycle, you ready for this? The muscle memory, key word here, not muscle memory, neuron memory. So when people say I have muscle memory, it's actually neuron memory. The neuron memory is firing on. The neurological memory of them learning the new way of playing and building the muscles to be able to do the work naturally, for the ones who played the piano for 2 hours a day, it went up about 23%. Got it? Type 23 in the comments. So they sat there playing for 2 hours a day. They had an increased growth of their ability to do the behavior by about 23%. Now, for the ones who just visualize the process, so I'm talking about sitting in there, imagining, feeling the keys on their fingers. So this is an experience in your mind. This isn't just going, yo, playing piano, money, 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 money. It's the actual experience of what that is. Their neurological strengthening and connections went up 21%. 21%. So their brain and their body created the neurological connections of pretty much the same as actually doing the behaviors. Let me know if you think that's a bit mind-blowing. Like, so we're talking huge growth there in a short period of time. This is how we can get good at something without actually having to do it all the time. So let's say, for example, I'll give you a couple of examples here, right? Let's say you wanted to get really good at sales. And I know a couple people spoken about sales a bit, right? You want to get really good at sales. Here's 2 ways you can get really good at sales. Way number 1. You ready for this? Way number 1. Get a script and then talk to people and practice. Even better, call people who are your target market and just try and sell them. Guess what? That's doing the actual behavior. Do you know the hard part about doing that actual behavior? Is if the psyche isn't supporting wanting to do it yet and we're firing off more noradrenaline, guess what's easier to happen? Quit. Makes sense. So somebody calls someone up and they have this really shitty experience on the phone with them. And then they hang up the phone. And when they hang up the phone, they're feeling horrible. They're feeling like, man, this sucks. That's noradrenaline firing off in the brain and body. That is a person saying, I don't want to pick up the phone again. Let me know if that makes sense. This is why when you're working with someone, you want to understand what is their thumbprint, what is their way of viewing the world, and what are their thresholds. Because if you're working with someone, you push someone too hard. Like we run speakers events sometimes, right? And we train people to speak on stage. And one of the biggest activities we do is we say, look, what is your worst scenario? Like, what's your worst scenario if you experience that scenario as you were presenting your presentation would make you go, I can't do this, I'm out, let's leave? Is it just someone sitting there saying, you suck, you're horrible, you're crap? Is it somebody just getting up and walking out? Or is it someone coming up and slapping you in the face while you're speaking your presentation? What is your worst case scenario? And there's some people who go, I'll take people, put them on a street, make them do a presentation on the street as loud as they can, to work the muscle of being okay to speak on stage. Does that make sense? Give me some yes if that makes sense. Now, I've watched people, we're talking 10 years of doing this, right? I've watched people do this process, and day 1, sit there going, like on stage, bawling their eyes out because they that experience, a neurological experience, is breaking down. Yet, after 5 days of going through this, by day 5, day 6, they are strutting that stage, posture's perfect, man, they're confident. That is the process of growth. Now check this out. If a person's pushed too far too quick, aka let's say that person's put on the street told to shout their presentation, but they can't handle that yet, guess what happens? The brain quits. The person doesn't quit, the brain does. The brain says, I can't do this, I can't handle, I'm not ready for this. So they say, I'm not coming back on day 2, day 3. You know what I mean? Give me some yeses, that makes sense. This is what you want to be aware of with your clients. It's all about time and just picking the process. So we go a little bit, and if they go too far too quick, we'll pull it back. We have clients where they're in their coaching business, and they're like, I want to get to 10K a month within the next 3 months. I had one client once, he's like, I want to earn 40K a month in the first 3 months of me starting my coaching business. And my question was to him, I was like, cool, all right. What are you currently doing? What do you do for work? Are you in sales? Are you marketing? Well, what are you currently doing? He's like, I work in IT. I'm like, okay, cool. Straight away for me, bit of a red flag, right? You want to go from IT, where you've never had to run a business, never had to experience anything like that, into a business in 3 months making 40K a month. Cool, let me know. Are we a unicorn here in the sense of, like, do you have any sales experience? No. Have you had any marketing experience? No. Have you ever coached someone? No. Have you ever worked with someone in any realm of coaching, PT, whatever that is? No. Okay, cool. I think as a coach, I'm saying that goal may be a bit extreme for you to be able to achieve that in the next 3 months? Does this make sense? Give me some yeses. So we go here, cool, let's open it up. Let's start doing the work. You get to 3 months. Where are you now? Well, I'm confident at coaching, but I haven't made my 40 grand yet. Have you done any marketing? Have you done any sales? Have you picked up a phone and sold anyone yet? No. See the gaps here? Like we're starting, cool, let's now work on the next phase. Let's go in the next 3 months, let's focus on having 10, 25 sales calls. Practice this. Now, in this moment, here's the second way you could do this. You ready for this? You get a sales script. So you get a sales script, and you read the sales script, and then you shut your eyes, and you sit there for 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you play that sales out in your mind. And you experience it in your mind. You experience the objections. You experience, imagine this. Imagine experiencing every single objection you could ever get. I can't afford it, I don't have enough time, my partner doesn't want me to do this. Every objection you could get. And then you sit there in your mind and you imagine 20 times each handling that objection. Kindness, with empathy, with a process. Look, I really appreciate where you're at right now. So many of our ideal clients are in the same spot. And it's great to be there. I just want to let you know you're not alone. And I thank you for being honest with me. Opposed to saying, but if you could afford it, could you make it? And using certain language patterns, like opening up the heart and really connecting. Because this could go two ways. Number way is you could stay the way you are, doing what you're currently doing. Or way number two is we could find a way to make it work for you so we could chip away and get you to this goal quicker. Just want to check in. Which one would you prefer? Oh, yeah, for sure. I prefer number two. Okay, if there was a way we could make this work for you, how could we do this? Those language patterns, just practicing those language patterns over and over again in the mind. What happens is we get to a point where the opening of a call, for example, becomes really easy and effortless. Why? Because you know what you're going to say. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm struggling in the second part. Spend more time focusing on the second part. Now, what happens here, right, is we're training the brain to remember this. We're training the brain to have, you ready, the automatic thoughts. Check this out. The automatic thoughts that when somebody says, I can't afford it, it's not the right time, or I can't do this, the automatic thought in your brain is, I want to appreciate, love, and connect with this person, not get a yes. Does this make sense? So we're training the brain to connect with who you are. And if you are someone, you're probably not here because this is not who we are as a brand. But if you're someone who's just like, I want to get the yes, then the brain's going to automatically go, cool, how do I get the yes? Fire off language pattern. Does this make sense? Give me some. We're here, it's like, look, you're not alone. I want to let you know that. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know how, like I just want to say, from a sales point of view, I've spent a lot of time in sales. From a sales point of view, do you know how good it is when somebody says to you that I can't do this, or they bring up an objection and you agree with them? Do you know how good that is for a person? How good that feels to say, oh wow, really? Man, thank you. I need time to talk to my partner. Oh yeah, for sure. How much time do you need? Let's have a chat about this. And now let's negotiate the time. I need 3 weeks to talk to my partner. Would you let go 3 weeks? Maybe it's a bit far. Look, if I could give you a couple of days, a couple of hours, whatever that is for them, like within the boundary, could we work that? You see what it's like? We're agreeing to then move on, agreeing and move on. Does this make sense? So one of the biggest things when we look at coaching, when we look at marketing, we look at sales, all of it in. If we train our mind, imagine doing the intervention, sitting there and doing the intervention in the mind, and just, you're getting the objections. I can't get any learnings. Cool, that's an objection. What's the language pattern to handle that objection, right? Cool. Totally appreciate that. So many of our clients are in an ideal position. If you could find something that helps you move towards where you want to be, what would someone else say in this position to then get a learning? Oh, I'm enough. Would that work for you? Yes, wonderful. What else? So we're just opening up we're learning language patterns to open up the neurological patterns to help a person move forward. So visualizing the process is just as important as actually doing it. Now let's say, for example, someone says, I only get one client a month, and they only practice this one time a month. Do you think that's going to be enough to create the neurological connections to be able to do this easily and effortlessly? No. Hence then, visualization is just as important, because through visualization, they can open this up. So here's where we kind of go with this, right? So you've got, ready, way number one, do the behavior. Way number two is visualize the behavior. Now, science has shown through visualizing, we can strengthen the neurological connections to start to create new habits, new behaviors, new automatic thoughts into our future. So then how does this kind of work in the brain? What's happening? Now here's the science. So when we sleep and we hit deep sleep, I'm going to quick couple of hits of sleep here. When we hit deep sleep, the brain have taken the snapshots during the day from the last day or two, takes that information and starts to store it in the back of the brain into our long-term memory. Now the second part, which is just as important, is the REM sleep. It starts to integrate that with our psyche of who we are. So what's kind of happening here? They did a study on mice. And what they did, they had mice run a maze. So there was cheese in the middle of the mice, and the mice would run the maze. And they kind of had a little probe, not probe in the brain, but like a little headpiece on the mice. And that was monitoring the tune and the tone of how the brain was processing the maze. And what they found was when they found the right path to the cheese, the brain would create a tune. And the tune was like, make sense? Give me some yeses. So they're running the same path to get to the cheese. Now in REM sleep, when they were dreaming, they noticed that the same tune was being played, yet 20 times the speed. Wow, right? So when they were sleeping and they hit REM sleep, it was like, oh, oh, oh. That was the brain imagining running the mazes. Anybody ever had it, like you've done something? Oh man, I used to work with phones, right? I used to work with phones. It was like I worked hard. There were days where I would wake up and let me say that. There were days where I would wake up and my feet were out of my bed and I was sitting up and I was typing on a computer saying, what would you like? What would you like? And I was having the conversation of that experience. Has anybody ever had something like that? That made me feel weird. Anybody had an experience like that where you wake up and you may be having the conversation about something you've done? Yeah. That would happen. That's kind of the process of what we're going through, where we're integrating and we're learning and we're creating the neurological connection. So you think about that in REM sleep, and this is why I'm going to say sleep is so important. Just my one biggest hit for sleep out of all things. Now, if a person goes to bed at 10 o'clock at night and wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning, quite a normal pattern. Now, some people can go to bed at 12 o'clock at night. We go through in the diploma, we do bed like hours upon hours of trainings on this, right? Let's say a person goes to bed at 10 o'clock at night, wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, if they spend their time going to bed at 12, 8, 1, 9, what happens is if the body is used to going to bed at 10, they're used to getting into deep sleep in the first 4 hours. So between like 10 and 2 a.m., that's where the brain knows habitually this is deep sleep. Then it knows that from 2 until 6 is predominantly REM sleep. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense. 10 till 2, normally deep sleep. So the body, biologically, like the body knows, if we stand in front of the sun when we wake up in the morning, it knows it's the start of the day, and it knows that we need to fall asleep 16 hours later. The body knows this, right? So the body knows, the body learns these patterns. So if the person goes to bed at 12 o'clock at night, but their body's used to going to bed at 10, and they've just missed how many hours of deep sleep? They fall asleep at 12 o'clock at night because they've watched a movie, they've hung out with their partner, maybe the kids have been up. They've just missed 2 hours of their deep sleep period. Because the body doesn't go, cool, you've gone to bed at 12 now, we'll get 4 hours of deep sleep, we'll then get 4 hours of REM, and then wake up at whatever 8 hours is after that, 8 a.m. Because it already knows the process. Same as if to wake up early. Check this out. Let's say the person goes to bed at 10, wakes up at 6, but they're like, you know what? I want to get healthy. I'm going to start going to the gym. So I'm going to wake up 2 hours early and only sleep 6 hours a night. We've just opened up our risk of most things mortality in our life just because we've now dropped to 6 less hours of night sleep. Number 2 is we've now cut 2 hours of what normally would be REM sleep. So we start to build up these thresholds. We start to build up these doses in our brain. Alcohol, marijuana. If somebody has alcohol, marijuana, it suppresses the REM sleep. So suppresses, we don't get the depth of REM sleep. So we start to get a build up there of REM sleep. So all of a sudden, they don't drink alcohol for a couple of days, or they don't have take marijuana for a couple of days, and then they brain going, here's now a flood of what we've just missed out for the last week, 2 weeks, month, whatever that is. So you think about a person who goes, sleeping is erratic, straight away, then the integration of change is going to be minimal, straight off the bat. So type minimal, minimal. It's not that they won't have any integration, it's going to be minimal. So where a person could really start to climb to 10, 20% growth, 30% growth in their life in quite a quick period of time, that's now spreading out a lot longer. You put that into compounding, you're missing a lot of growth in life, and so is the clients. Minimal effect. So sleep there is very important. So you have mice imagining the process, sleeping, and they're just like, we're just learning. So if a person just sat there and visualized what their day would be like when they have their coaching business, what their life would be like when you have the life you want with your coaching business, what you're doing is you're starting to train the brain to live in that future now. Training the brain to go in this future right now. I'm creating the patterns, behaviors that will generate that future. This is how we become who we want to be and then create it in our future, opposed to living from the patterns of the past. Just give me some yeses. Do you now understand how powerful this is in respect to somebody creating change in their life? The intervention is one component of the ecosystem. The tie off that ecosystem is time and integration. Time and integration. All right. So, this is where we look at then goal setting. Goal setting is extremely important. Why? Because goal setting gives us a path, gives us an outcome, gives us a North Star on where we want to head, where our clients want to head. So we've got a couple of things there that we just noted on. Number one, when we're looking at goal setting, we're looking at A, don't make it so big that it's outside of reach. And I mean reach. As in, people say, I'm shooting for the stars, but if I get the moon, that's okay. Cool, what's the goal of the moon? Definitely have a goal of the stars, but what's the moon goal? Let's work towards stepping towards the things that we want to achieve in life. AKA, let's say a person said, I want to make $40,000 in the next 3 months in my coaching business. They've never had a business. Man, I've had clients, right, do $20,000 sales on their first sale. Now, I had a client, we had a 5-day event a couple of years ago. This was pre-COVID. It was in Sydney at the time. A gentleman made $500,000 sale. After going through the process, think of that, $500,000 sale that week. Now, they had skill sets already. Make sense? Yeah. Living in this false reality where people only show what the best things people accomplish in life is bullshit. If I was selling, if someone's selling you the idea of you could become a coach and do $500,000 in your first week in your coaching business. Why? Because someone else did it, you could do it. No, where's the reality? The reality is most coaches take about 3 months to get really good at understanding one coaching method. Remember, 90-day cycles. They then take another 3 months to go, cool, I'm now understanding how to post, to push through the noradrenaline of I'm happy to share what I know, I'm happy to share with others. Most people. Then it's cool, now let's go on another 3 months of taking that following and practicing the sales process. Here's the reality. If somebody learns a sales process straight away and they have no one to sell to, guess what? They've now just backlogged their process. Because if they learn how to be a coach, then they learn how to do sales, but they've got no one there to sell, they now have to go on another 3-month journey of just building the following. Let me know if that makes sense. A lot of math, a lot of quick math. This is why doing the right work at the right time is the most important thing you could do as a coach. This is why most coaches spend a year, 2 years. Remember the year, and then 2 years of just applying, and then another year of starting to learn client attraction, another year. This is why those processes can take so long, because it's doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. All right, so where we at? Back to integration. So integration takes time, practice. So as a coach, first is I want to become a confident coach. And we go, cool, let's set the brain up that we're a confident coach in 3 months. So in 3 months from now, we're a confident coach. So we start to train our brain day in, day out, right now, that we're confident at coaching. Here's the truth, right? Is if you believe at your core you are something, you fight like tooth and nail to do it. Example, let's say somebody is Christian, or a Muslim, or a Catholic, whatever it is. Let's say they are associated, at their deep core, to a religion. Let me know if that makes sense. Now, if this person truly believes, same with a carnivore, a vegan, opposites here, carnivore, vegan, If that person sat in the room and somebody said, let's say this Christian, you have to be a Muslim today, what do you think their brain's going to say straight away? Their brain will fight like tooth and nail to justify and prove why they are right. Why what they're doing, they can't do that. Vegan, same deal. Carnivore, opposites. Let's say you're someone who's carnivore sitting in a room, you have to be vegan today. No, hell no, I'm not being vegan. That's the belief system. That person would fight like tooth and nail to have who their identity is. Does that make sense? Give me some. So let's say this. Let's say we spent 3 months, 6 months, like brainwashing your brain to believe at your core you're an amazing coach. Yet, as you're doing and going that journey, you're actually applying the coaching. So it's not you're just sitting there and you're not doing the practice. You believe, you're working on the belief that you're a great coach. And then in 3 months, you've practiced 10, 20 interventions. What do you think after that 3 months you're going to feel about your coaching ability? So you've just told, like you've worked on your brain for 3 months saying, I'm a great coach, people love my work, clients get amazing results with my coaching. I love getting the feedback from my clients that they have great experiences. How good would you feel if you thought that right now? Okay, never coach someone in your life, but you thought that right now that you're an amazing coach. This is how you can have somebody who is doing millions in their coaching business, but is an average coach. Remember that dopamine massively outweighs the noradrenaline. Be very confident, very solid. So our goal is how do we do the behavior, do the practice to be a great coach. Yet we also work on the mindset, because the mindset will create the behaviors to be the great coach. This is the difference between, and I've been training coaching for over 10 years now. This is the difference of what I see most coaching industry go through is I'll teach you the behaviors, but we won't work on the brain to integrate into that behavior, to believe in your core that is who you are and what you do. This then goes with marketing. Let's say marketing, like the next phase is then the marketing. You have to put your posts out. You have to connect with people. People don't buy coaches just for the simple fact that they're there. You have to seek people out and you have to talk with people, connect with people. So let's say over that 3 months, that next 3 months then is how do we set the brain up to be confident with posting, to be the influencer? How do we set the brain up? Cool. So day one, start going, cool. People love watching my content. People love sharing my content. When somebody doesn't like it, it's okay. I respect them. They're on their journey. Does this make sense? Training the brain that when somebody says you're an effing idiot online, your brain automatically says, you know what, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming by. Block, move on. I don't need to hold this energy. I don't need to justify why I'm right or wrong, why you're right or wrong. Does this make sense? So you're already setting up the behaviors where that person would have said, you suck, you failed, and all of a sudden the person's like, I quit, I gotta give up. Integration. So we set the brain up now. So what we're gonna do now is, right, we're gonna do a quick goal. Let's pop the screen up in a second. We're gonna pop the screen up. We're gonna write a quick goal. Now, the purpose of this goal is the North Star. Where do you want to head in your business? You would do this with your client. Here, we'll just use a SMART goal. So where are you, not where are you now, where do you want to be? What's your North Star in the next, say, 3 months from now? So where would you like to be in 3 months from now? Where would you like to be in 3 months from now? And what I want you to do is think of, in your coaching business, what phase are you at? In the learning phase? Are you applying? Are you in the influence phase? Are you in the earning phase? Where are you at? And in the 3 months, where do you want to be? Now, here's your caveat. Within the phase you're at, make it very specific, but make it realistic. Make it something that's a stretch, yet achievable. So let's say, for example, you're in the learn phase, and you're like, I just want to go learn another course. Is that really a big stretch? Not really, but if you're like, I want to coach 5 people, 10 people. So I'm in the learn phase, I need to step into the apply phase. I want to have coached, and when you've done it, pop it in the comments so I can see it. When you've done it, pop it in the comments. I want to see that. Just a goal. Doesn't have to be huge, just a 1-liner, 2-liner, maybe 3. We do for the guys in the diploma, we do like hour-long writing processes to really activate the neurology, where we're at, what we need. But now, let's just get it there so we'll go through a nice 10, 15-minute process in a minute. And we'll finish up. So what's your goal? So specific, make it realistic. Make sure it's a stretch, but it's something that can be achieved. So let's say, again, in the learning phase, I want to step into the apply phase. Cool, I've coached 10 people. So I've practiced with 10 people in the next 3 months. And then in this process here, we're going to go what it feels like, what it is like to feel and be in that space where we've coached 10 people. So you sit in and you feel what it's like to be coached 10 people, to see, 8, 9 of them having an amazing transformation, and how that feels knowing that you've set that up in your life. If somebody's kind of going from the apply phase to the influencer phase, or they're in the learn phase and they want to kind of go, I want to apply, plus become that influencer in the next 3 months, totally cool, can be done. So it's like half would be like kind of thinking about what it feels like to put people through these transformations. The other is, how does it feel putting your, you ready for this? Here's one snippet. Imagine what it would feel like, right? Waking up in the morning, and we check our phone because that's what humans do first thing in the morning. Check our phone, you see a message from someone on Instagram or on Facebook, preferably Facebook. Let's go Facebook. A message from someone on Messenger, and they've said, you know what? I've been following you for a couple of weeks now. I've been following you for a couple of days now, and I have to say, my life was falling apart. I was feeling suicidal. I wasn't feeling great at all. Just because I was reading your posts, I have fully shifted. Man, I feel great just from reading and experiencing your posts. I feel great. I kid you not. I'm going to plug it here. Again, diploma. If you do want to have a chat about the diploma, this is what people start to get when they're doing the right post at the right time inside what we're teaching in the client attraction program, becoming the influencer part of the diploma. So do type diploma if you want this. But here's what happens, right? People go like this. I couldn't believe this. I woke up today and I just felt great. And your post popped in front of me. And I was like, wow, I can't believe this. I've been following you for a couple of weeks now, a couple of months. And I didn't realize that I have liked every single one of your posts. Think of this, right? Think of this. I jumped on your page. I saw your post, jumped on your page. And I could not believe, I was scrolling through your post to see if there's something I could reciprocation, give you the like, give you the comment. And I liked every single one of your posts for the past 3 months. You know how many times I've jumped on a phone with someone and I'm talking with them about what they're doing with their coaching, and they're like, it blew my brain that I had liked every single one of your posts for the last 3 months. It happens all the time. That is where you have someone who's a really good client. This is when you take that person on as a client, and it may be like 1 in every 10 of them come through as a client. It's not about all of them buying, right? It's about saying that you're building such deep rapport with people that you're living this world. So imagine this. You're sitting here now and you're visualizing this process of transforming, not needing the validation of the person messaging you, but knowing that's what's happening in the process. This is how the dopamine massively outweighs that noradrenaline. Should I post today? Heck yes. Put the post out. Put the post out today. Always. Yes, put the post out. Put that post out. Put it out. Post it. If you think you shouldn't, do it. Outside of if you're saying something harmful or doing something that's, ecologically maybe not in balance, if you've got an idea of a post, share it. That is what we want to put inside this smart goal. What is the experience that will bring you when you have it? Let me know if that makes sense in the comments. What will the experience? And this is now what we want to do. So what we're going to do in a moment, we're going to go through a bit of a visualization process. We'll do a bit of breathing together. When we breathe, we'll drop down, we'll open up some good energy of like some love, some gratitude into our hearts. And then what we're going to do is open up this thought. So in your mind, right, I want you to think about what your life will be like when you have that goal, when you've achieved that goal. What will your life be like? And in your mind, we're going to go through a really nice, quick process of you envisioning and being a part of it in this moment. Now, what I'll say is in the diploma, we do go through and we stack this, where people start to hit their psyche in their brain 8 times per day. 8 times per day. After this, I'll give you a meditation, and you can do this meditation. You can give this meditation to your clients as you coach them. It's totally cool. You can do it. We have it on YouTube. So as we go at this process here, I would say go through this process for the next 30 days. See what it does for your life. Next 30 days, go through this process every day, every morning, or every night. Go through this same process. Again, you can use. We've got plenty of these around. This is what we're going to do. We're going to sit there now, imagine where we want to be, and then experience that in our mind. This is now the process of integrating. Get it? The coaching is not just intervention. It's then the time after the intervention, helping a person integrate into that cycle. Alrighty, so let's do this. So what we're going to do is, let's take that screen down. What we're going to do is, in a moment, we're just going to go for about 10 minutes here in a moment. What we're going to do breathing together. This doesn't have to be long. Again, when we look at the pure neuroscience of this, again, I'm just going to say this in the diploma, you don't even need to do, if you're not somebody who likes to meditate, you don't even need to do the meditation. The science is, if you hit your brain 8 times per day doing the certain behaviors, that will transform all these automatic thoughts in the brain that you're working with at that time. Does that make sense? Give me some yeses. So the psyche is being able to train the brain over and over again. This is why one coaching session a week is most of the time not enough. There needs to be work in between when you're working with your clients to really integrate into this person who they want to be. All right, so what we're going to do, right, is we're going to go through this process, and then after the process, we're going to finish up. Say thank you. So again, if you did have any questions, pop them in here in the team will answer your questions in the chat for you. Now what we're going to do is go through a process. So I'm just going to say get comfortable. It's not going to be long. If you're someone who is okay meditating, this is going to be a kind of form of visualization meditation. If you don't like meditating stuff, it's totally cool. You do your thing, you do you. But we're just going to do a bit of breathing together, and then we're going to do a visualization. I just want to say, for anyone doing this, there's no religious connotation to this. There's no, it's a process of just closing our eyes, breathing, becoming centered, and then becoming who we want to be. And the idea is while we're doing this, we're firing off the chemicals, we're firing off what we need. So as we're going through these processes, when we sleep at night, guess what? We're starting to integrate into this way of thinking and feeling. This is the process of change. This is the process of finishing change. So just get comfortable. Take a nice breath in, and slowly close your eyes. And you'll hear some music come through. As you hear this music come through, allow the music to bring forth some relaxation, well-deserved relaxation. As we prepare our mind to connect to that universal consciousness that is guiding us through life, whether that's your spirit, God, Allah, whatever you call it, your higher self. Connecting with a part of us that opens up the field of transformation, the field of change, so you can become who you want to be in this moment to create the life that you want. I invite you to take a breath in for 2 seconds. Breathe in, 1, 2, hold, 1, 2, and then breathe out for 2 seconds. 1, 2. Breathe in for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Hold for 3. 1, 2, 3. And then breathe out for 3, 2, 3. Breathe in for 4 seconds. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And then out for 4. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in 4 again. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And then out for 4. 2, 3, 4. One more all of your attention, your awareness on your heart energy center in the middle of your chest. Bring your attention, your awareness. And as you feel this awareness, I invite you to think about 1, 2, or 3 things that you're grateful for in life. Could be someone, something, even yourself. Just feel the feeling of gratitude as you think about this. Feeling grateful, feeling abundant. Breathe in gratitude. And now I invite you to start to feel the feeling of love. The love you may have for yourself, for someone else, for something, and allow that love to build inside your heart energy center. And allow that love to just expand and move throughout your body. And now I invite you in your mind's eye to bring forth the visual, the vision of your goal, the outcome of your goal, of what you would like to achieve in the next 3, 6, 9 months, what would you like to have, and what your life is like when you have it. Think about your clients, think about the choices you get to make, have already? How do you feel? Pop it in the comments. How do you feel? How was that?
Very nice.
So I will say, in our so the difference here is beautiful experience, great, nice, lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you. Well, I will say, like in the difference here with, I guess, the diploma, which is kind of the big difference, is we do really advanced versions of that. So it's about spiking the nervous system. How do you spike the nervous system so we can fire off the right chemicals to integrate the right learnings? So that like when we look at this process of integration, from a neuroscience point of view, you could do coaching for people just off this period here, this work here, where you kind of coach someone and facilitate a journey for them to create big transformation, massive transformation. So the intervention is great to spike things, but you get where the change happens is over time, continually firing off and strengthening the neurological connections of what the person wants to be, do, or have. Whether they're learning a behavior, whether they're learning a self-talk, or whether they're learning a skill set that they can do. That comes with time. So just because somebody's great at shooting, teaching someone how to shoot a basketball, doesn't mean that person will become great. Just because they teach them the strategy. This is why I know hundreds, thousands, we've trained thousands of people. Some people, when they go through coaching courses like this, they don't really go out and progress and do much with it. That's because the integration isn't happening. The time, does this make sense? With your clients, the time after you do the session is the most important. Because if they don't do that, guess what? They can easily go back to where they were and what they've always done. So deep gratitude. What do you do next? Jump into the online portal. We're going to pop a link here. The team in a moment. They're going to pop a link inside the comments. And that link is to jump into the online portal. Big love. Well done. You made it to the end of it. So now you can jump in. And I will say the best thing you can do now is go and practice. Practice. Remember, we learn it, and then the apply. Practice. Practice is where we create confidence. So if you want to go through the visualization part first, just go through visualize running the sessions, and then run one. Do it. Just go practice. If you practice, even better, go practice, and then sit there and visualize the process in your mind that you went through there. Learn from that, experience that, get the growth. So jump into the online portal, follow the steps, just click the boxes, you can go through and then, well done. Again, if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, there's a link that will pop in there as well for the Facebook group. Jump into the Facebook group, that's where we can support you. If you want to practice with people inside the Facebook group, you totally can. Just go in there, type in the group, does anybody want to do a session, a practice session, and people will say yes. There's always people looking to practice doing these sessions. There's plenty of people in there over all types of time zones, so there's going to be able to work it there. Outside of that, big love to you. Thank you so much for hanging out. The world needs you to do this. The world needs your help. People are out there. We're going through some really big shifts in the world at the moment. Welcome. Thank you. We're going through some really big shifts in the world at the moment, and we are going to go through so many more over the next 2 to 5, 10 years. So this is a great time as we go through this cycle of life to be out there helping people move through what they need to move through so they can achieve what they want to be. Big love. Thank you. And for the guys in the diploma, again, if you do want to jump in and have a chat with the team about the diploma, just type diploma in the comments and we'll reach out and book a call. Outside of that, big love to you and I'll see you next time.